I think it's fascinating how much fun you can have with every frame, because I was like, Alita isn't real, but all the others are, but then Alita looks so real.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how you shot this all so perfectly?
Well, it helped that I was working with Jim, and this was a very Jim Cameron type movie, so he told me early on something that just I couldn't stop thinking about. He changed how I would approach the movie. He said, I believe science fiction and fantasy films have to be completely real and grounded. Like my movies are really whimsical and crazy, and a guy can fire a missile from his guitar case, and it doesn't really need to work. That's not Jim. That wouldn't work for him. How does that work? He wants to know how it has to feel real, otherwise it pulls you out of the movie. It has to be grounded and real, otherwise you won't buy the fantasy. So I thought, wow, I have to change completely how I make movies. So I'm not going to use green screen. I'm going to build real sets, real locations, have real actors there, a real orange, so that she's surrounded by reality. And so when they do the CG, they have to match her into everything else that's real, otherwise it won't look right. Yeah. So it was a lot of extra work for the effects company, but you end up with a movie that's just so wild because everything looks so real, but a lot of it isn't, but you can't tell what. It's because there's a lot of real things all around.
Yeah, especially with those fast action scenes in the motorball arena.
Right.
Isn't your head exploding because of all the visual effects that you have to have in mind and all the stuff that you are shooting with the camera?
Yeah, when I read that sequence, I went, I don't know how we're going to do that, but I just have to start right away. Years before we start shooting even, I was already drawing each frame, cutting it together with sound, drawings, like animation. And then we did animatics, and then, I knew we had to start, and sure enough, the last thing we finally finished was Motorball. It took 3 years to make that sequence, but you had to start early, planning it, wrapping your head around it. Because when you watch it, it feels overwhelming, but you did it over a period of 3 years, so you had time to get it right.
Yeah, especially the last race was just...
The last race is crazy.
Very crazy and wonderful, yeah. I really think you did perfect with Rosa in the leading role, because she really knows how to behave and act this thing so human, speak so human. And so how was the whole process working with Rosa on this one?
I mean, Rosa, from the moment she walked in, she affected me. I mean, she walked in for the audition, and usually auditions, one person comes after another. You're in a room like this, they do the scene, they leave. She came in and she had me in tears. She was so emoting and so human and so, you've met her, she's so, animated in a way. I thought, wow, this would be such a fantastic CG character if she's the one driving it. She'll be like something we've never seen before, because Rosa's like someone you've never met before. So it starts with a person and their performance, and then goes from there. So it's fun to work with her. She's so lively and funny, and you just think she's cool, and you need Alita to be that. You want to go hang out with Alita. She's got to be a badass and cool and funny and sweet and rebellious and all those things, and that's Rosa.
Yeah. And with Christoph, did you have to tell him a lot of things how you want him to act, or is he just someone that just goes along?
He's somebody that, when I met with him, he was my first and only choice. I met with him and we talked for 3 hours about our families, about our kids, about our daughters. And I could tell he was already that really warm father figure. So I didn't have to tell him very much. He could get right into that. He knows that. Otherwise, I'd have to be directing him. If he's really like the bad guys he plays, then that would be harder. But he's not. He's more like this character than he is those other characters. So it was easy and fun to watch.
So I imagine that Quentin Tarantino, Christoph, and you hung out many times. But Christoph just told me this never happened.
No, never happened before.
How can this be?
Yeah, I mean, because Quentin, I live in Texas also, and he shot those movies in other countries. He shot Django in the South, but I wasn't on the set for that one, so I didn't meet Christoph there. But I always felt like he would be right for this part. And it's just an instinct. A lot of times it's not because I haven't seen it in other movies. It's an instinct you have about someone that they could play a role that everyone else says, really? You're going to cast him as the father? Isn't he like a bad guy all the time? And I think he's so good that you'll forget that. And sure enough, you watch the movie, he's so good, you forget that he plays bad guys.
So please call me when you three finally hang around, because then I will just feel relieved.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah, we've hung around since then. But yeah, we didn't before. Yeah, we've hung out since then. He's great. He's fun. Very funny guy.
After 5 years running, how's it going with your television network, Rey
It's
Network?
awesome. You know, we have one of my favorite shows is on there. Is a television series version of my book, Rebel Without a Crew. And I just did a movie for it. I made another movie for $7,000 because it's the 25th anniversary of El Mariachi. And a documentary series showing how to make a movie with no money by yourself. Write, shoot, edit, score, cut, the whole thing. And it's going to premiere, the movie and the documentary is going to premiere at South by Southwest in 2 months. So I'm excited about that. And then it'll be on El Rey. But it's cool to teach people how to make a movie, a feature film in 14 days with no money. And it's, you see me doing it, doing my own clapper, pulling the strings, putting a needle in someone's eye with no prosthetics. Really cool tricks and stuff you can do with no money. So I'm excited about that. That's because of my network.
And do your children say sometimes, Dad, stop being this workaholic? This is not good for you.
No, my kids worked on it with me. They had to be workaholics too. My son's doing the boom. My other son did the music. And they love being like that. They're like that now in their own lives. They just like have all kinds of ideas and they know they just have to pound it. And they got multiple things going. My son's a composer and he forges Japanese style knives that he sells for like $1,000 a pop. I don't know how he learned that. He's only 19, but they're just driven like that too. So they get inspired. I do more and more to inspire them to do more and more. Yeah. And they're just frosty all the time. It's exciting. It gets me frosty again.
Yeah, good.
So very exciting.
And I have to end with this because Danny Trejo keeps telling everybody that it is going to happen. So,
well, what's he going to say? That it's not going to happen? He has to say it is going to happen.
So 2 words, Machete.
We have to make it some point, right? Because otherwise, but I'd always thought that the opening of part 2 showed the trailer of it, and that would make people think, oh, it must exist. But when if people keep asking for it, we'll have to make it. That's what happened with the first Machete. We weren't supposed to have a movie for Machete. It was just supposed to be a fake trailer. But then people loved the fake trailer and they wanted more. So we went ahead and made it. So maybe if people tell me, no, Danny's always telling me to make it, but if people tell me to make it, we can make one.
Yeah, we're excited for that, I guess.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you so much. All the best with this movie.
Thank you.
Thank you.